She didn't cry when she insulted me. She didn't flinch when she dared me to walk out. She stood in front of the mirror, perfect dress, perfect hair, like she was about to win an argument she'd already rehearsed. And I'll never forget the exact moment her smug little smile died. Because instead of yelling, instead of begging, instead of fighting for us, I just nodded, grabbed my bag, and erased myself from her life in 10 minutes. She didn't realize I meant it until she came stumbling in at sunrise and found the closet empty and the note on her pillow. If you've ever been disrespected by someone who thought you'd never leave, if you've ever been made to feel like your boundaries were controlling but their behavior was freedom, hit like, subscribe, and settle in, because today's story isn't about yelling. It's about the most brutal revenge of all, taking your peace back. It was a Thursday, not a dramatic holiday, not a birthday, not some cinematic, life-altering date that you'd circle on a calendar in red ink. Just a Thursday, the kind of day the world forgets the moment it ends. But for me, it was the day my relationship stopped being a relationship and turned into a hostage situation. I remember the room. Our bedroom smelled like her perfume, the kind that tried too hard. Sweet, expensive, heavy. It clung to the air like it owned the place, like it was paying rent. The overhead light was off. She only had that bright vanity light on, the one that made everything look sharper than it really was. The kind of light that shows every flaw, every pore, every crack. And in that light, she looked constructed. My girlfriend, well, now my ex, her name was Sienna. Sienna stood in front of the full-length mirror like she was performing a role. She didn't just get dressed, she assembled herself. That night, she wore a little black dress. Not just any dress, it was the dress. The one she'd once told me was for something special. The one she'd worn on our anniversary last year when we went to that rooftop restaurant downtown. The one with the candles and the city lights and the moment I thought, stupidly, that we were building something real. Seeing her pull that dress over her body on a random Thursday hit me like a quiet slap. And I was already sitting on the edge of the bed, elbows on my knees, hands dangling between my legs, feeling like I'd been holding my breath for weeks. Because for weeks, I had been living in this fog, a fog made of little things, not proof, not a smoking gun, just patterns. Like the way she'd smile at her phone, then turn the screen down the moment I entered a room. Like how her girls' nights used to be casual dinners that ended at midnight and slowly became full production events. Makeup, hair, outfit planning, excuses. Then the night started at 8 p.m. and ended at 4 a.m. with her stumbling in like she'd been dragged home by the wind. And then there was the name, Troy. Troy from the gym. At first, it was harmless. Oh, Troy said this workout is better. Oh, Troy told me about this new protein thing. Oh, Troy thinks I should go heavier on deadlifts. I didn't care about the gym guy, not at first. But then Troy stopped being gym guy and became a regular part of her life. And the part that bothered me wasn't even jealousy. It was the way she said his name, like it tasted good. Like she wanted me to notice it. Like she wanted me to react so she could punish me for reacting. A week before that Thursday, I tried to talk. Not accuse, not interrogate, just talk. We were washing dishes. The faucet was running. Water splashed against plates, steady and loud enough to make the conversation feel private. I said, "Hey, you seem kind of distant lately. Is everything okay?" She didn't even look up. She sighed, a long, dramatic sigh, like I was a coworker interrupting her on a lunch break. Then she said, "God, not this again." I remember standing there with a wet plate in my hands, feeling my stomach drop like an elevator cable snapped. I said, "What do you mean?" She shook her head like I was exhausting. "I'm just living my life, Ryan. Do I need to file an itinerary with you now?" That sentence did something to me. Because it wasn't a denial, it wasn't reassurance, it was contempt. It was her telling me that my feelings were a burden she couldn't be bothered carrying. So I swallowed it. I didn't fight, I didn't raise my voice, I didn't demand to see her phone. I told myself I was being mature. But the truth was, I was scared. Scared that if I pressed, I'd find the answer I didn't want. Scared that if I pressed, she'd flip it on me and call me insecure and controlling.
And part of me, this stupid, loyal part, kept believing she would come back to us, that it was a phase, that loyalty means patience, that loyalty means enduring. But that Thursday night, as she adjusted the straps of that anniversary dress, something inside me finally cracked open. Not explosively, quietly, like ice giving way under weight. I watched her apply lipstick in the mirror. She leaned closer, mouth slightly parted, eyes focused like this was the most important thing in her world. I spoke, and even I was surprised how calm my voice sounded. "Sienna," I said, "where are you going tonight?" She met my eyes through the mirror. Her gaze was cool, practiced. "Out with the girls," she said. I nodded slowly. "You're wearing the anniversary dress." She didn't miss a beat. "It's my dress. I'll wear what I want." Dismissive, like swatting a fly. My throat tightened, but I forced air into my lungs. "And is Troy going to be there?" That did it. Her hands stilled. Her eyes flicked to mine. She turned slowly away from the mirror, leaning back against the vanity like she'd been waiting for this moment, like she was stepping onto a stage. She crossed her arms. Her posture wasn't defensive. It was confrontational. "What about him?" she asked. I didn't match her energy. I didn't rise to it. I said carefully. "I see his name a lot. You talk about him a lot. You're texting right now and smiling like—" She laughed, not a real laugh, a short, humorless huff like I was pathetic for even trying. "Oh my God," she said. "Here we go." She took a step forward, and it was like her whole body shifted into weapon mode. "Let me make this crystal clear, Ryan." Every word after that was delivered slowly, like bullets placed on a table, one by one. "I will wear what I want." Another step closer. "I will text who I want." Her chin lifted. "I will go out with whoever I want." She paused there, letting it hang in the air like a trophy. "This is my life," she said. "I'm not your property. I don't answer to you." My heart did something strange. The jealousy didn't flare. The anger didn't explode. Instead, everything went quiet inside me. Not peaceful quiet, dead quiet, like a circuit overloaded and burned out. She saw the stillness and mistook it for weakness, so she doubled down. And then she delivered the line I will remember for the rest of my life. "So if you don't like it," she said, mouth curling into a cold, triumphant smile, "you can leave." For a long moment, I just looked at her. And in that second, I didn't see my girlfriend. I saw a ghost wearing her face. I saw someone who didn't love me, someone who used me, someone who believed my devotion was automatic, like electricity, like water. Someone who believed I'd swallow anything as long as she called it independence. And something in me settled, a profound, heavy peace. I nodded once, slow, definitive. "Understood," I said. Her triumphant smirk froze, then cracked into confusion. "What?" she said. I didn't answer. I stood up from the bed, smooth and purposeful, no drama. I walked to the closet. I pulled down my old gym duffel bag, the one I hadn't used in months because life had been too busy orbiting around her moods. Sienna still hadn't moved. She stood there in her victory dress, watching, like she couldn't compute what she was seeing. I slung the duffel bag over my shoulder. Then my eyes landed on the notepad on her nightstand. Her fancy pen sat beside it. I picked it up and wrote 3 words on a clean page. Not a paragraph, not a speech, 3 words. I folded the paper once, walked to her side of the bed, and placed it in the center of her pillow. Careful, deliberate, like setting down a verdict. Then I turned and walked out of the bedroom. "Ryan," she barked, "where are you going?" I didn't stop. "Don't you dare walk away from me." Her voice chased me down the hallway, anger turning into panic in real time. I collected my laptop from the living room, keys from the bowl by the door, wallet from the counter. "You'll be back tomorrow," she shouted, desperation disguised as cruelty. "You pathetic—" The door closed behind me. Not a slam, a firm, final click. And that sound, quiet, controlled, felt louder than any argument we'd ever had. Outside, the night air was cool and clean. I loaded the bag into the trunk. I sat in the driver's seat, and before I started the car, I looked up at our window. The light was still on. Her silhouette stood there, watching as if she could will me back through glass. I started the car. I didn't speed. I didn't peel out. I pulled away the way I'd packed, calm and deliberate. My phone started lighting up before I hit the end of the block. Sienna calling. I let it ring. It stopped. Then it rang again. Then again. After the fourth call, the text started. 10:47 p.m. Where are you? This isn't funny. 10:49 p.m. Did you take my black heels? You better not have taken my heels, Ryan. 11:25 p.m. So you're giving me the silent treatment now. Real mature. 11:45 p.m. I'm home. Where are you? I read them with detached curiosity. None of them said, "Are you okay?" None said, "I'm sorry." She wasn't worried about me. She was worried about her disrupted evening and her shoes. I drove to a chain hotel off the highway, one of those bland, impersonal boxes of light that smell like carpet cleaner and forgettable breakfasts. I checked in under my name. I took a shower so hot my skin turned pink. I scrubbed until the last trace of her perfume was gone. Then I ordered the worst cheeseburger I've ever tasted and ate every bite. Because for the first time in months, I felt hungry. Not emotionally hungry, actually hungry, like my body was waking up from survival mode. My phone lit again. 3:17 a.m., incoming call. I imagined her stumbling in, adrenaline drained, alcohol heavy in her blood, confidence collapsing into reality. I imagined her seeing the closet, the empty hangers, the clean drawers, the sudden horror of silence, and then her eyes landing on the note. She probably picked it up with shaking fingers, unfolded it, read the 6 words I'd written. You got what you asked for. The call went to voicemail. I listened to it the next morning. Her voice was thick, slurry, and wet. Ryan, God, the closet is so empty. You really left? You just left after everything? Pause. Come home, she whispered. We need to talk. Please, just come home. I'm sorry you misunderstood. Just come home and we'll fix it. I stared at the wall as the voicemail ended. I'm sorry you misunderstood. Not, I'm sorry I said it. Not, I'm sorry I hurt you. Just, you misunderstood. Even in panic, she couldn't give me accountability. She could only offer me blame in a softer voice. I deleted the voicemail. Then I blocked her number. And that should have been the end. But endings don't happen all at once. Sometimes you end something emotionally in a single night. Then you spend weeks ending it logistically. The next week felt surreal, like handling paperwork for a death that no one else believed was real. I used my savings to put a deposit on a furnished studio apartment. Small, a view of a brick wall, but it was mine. No perfume in the air, no tension in the corners, no need to perform calm. I gave notice at our apartment complex, paid my half of the final month's rent, called the utilities and had my name removed. It was administrative euthanasia, killing the shared life item by item. And then I had a lapse, a moment of weakness. One night I unblocked her just long enough to check her Instagram. The night I left, she'd posted a blurry shot of a cocktail, caption, "Living my best life." 2 days later, another post, a gym selfie. There was Troy, arm around her waist, his grin smug, her smile bright, too bright, like someone trying to convince the world she was winning. Caption, "When you upgrade to first class." But her eyes looked frantic, like she was clinging to a life raft. I felt nothing. Not jealousy, not rage, just a faint clinical pity. Because I could see it clearly now. She didn't want love. She wanted applause. She wanted attention.
And when she couldn't get it from me, quiet, consistent attention, she traded it for the flashy kind from a stranger. I took a screenshot, not to be petty, to remind myself later that my instincts weren't paranoia, they were perception. Then I blocked her everywhere. And that's when the flying monkeys arrived. 3 weeks into my new quiet existence, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered without thinking, bad habit. "Ryan! Oh my God, you answered!" It was Janelle, Sienna's most toxically loyal friend, the kind of person who treats other people's relationships like a reality show. "Janelle," I said, already tired. "I know I shouldn't be calling, but I'm worried about her. This is crazy. You guys can't be done." I didn't respond. Silence makes people reveal themselves. "She's a mess, like disaster level. And that Troy guy, total user." I said nothing. "He ghosted her," she said, like she wanted me to gasp. After he got what he wanted. She showed up at his place and some other girl answered the door." Janelle made a sound like she was savoring the humiliation. "Can you imagine?" she whispered dramatically. I could, and I didn't care. "And the friends she went out with that night," Janelle went on. "They ditched her, said she was being too dramatic and clingy." Her tone suggested I should be outraged on Sienna's behalf, but all I heard was the sound of consequences arriving. "She's crying all the time," Janelle said. "She got written up at work. She sits in the apartment like broken. It's pathetic." The word hung there, pathetic. Even her advocate couldn't avoid it. "She keeps saying she made a huge mistake," Janelle said, voice softening, "that you were right, that you were always the stable one." There it was, not love, not remorse, stable one. Then came the real demand. "You have to call her," Janelle insisted. "You have to fix this. You always fix everything." And in that sentence, the entire relationship was explained. I wasn't a partner. I was a function, an emotional janitor hired to clean up messes she was excited to make. "Thanks for letting you know," I said flatly. "Take care." Then I hung up, blocked the number, and the moment I did, I felt something shift in my chest. Not pain, relief, because every time I refused to enter that chaos, I reclaimed a piece of myself. Of course, Sienna didn't stop. She couldn't. People like her don't accept consequences quietly. They escalate. A week later, a new number texted me. I knew it was her immediately. "Unknown. It's me. Please don't ignore this. We built a life. We need to talk." I let the message sit. Silence is a response. 2 days later. "Unknown. I miss you. The apartment is so empty. Remember our trip to Big Sur? We can be that again." Nostalgia as a weapon. She wasn't remembering me. She was remembering the feeling of being adored without the burden of reciprocating. I deleted it. Then came the voicemail. Tuesday, 11 p.m. Her voice was different now. Not arrogant, not triumphant. Wavering. "Ryan, it's Sienna. I don't know what to do. Everything is falling apart." A sniffle. "I had to give up the apartment. I'm staying with my cousin, and it's embarrassing. Troya was a lie. Everyone was a lie." Then she said the line that made my stomach twist, not because it hurt, but because it exposed her. "You were the only real thing," she breathed, "and I took you for granted. I needed to feel wanted. And then, and you were just always there." Always there, like furniture, like a lamp, like a service. "Please," she sobbed, "can we meet for coffee? I'll do anything. I love you." The "I love you" sounded like a coin she was trying to spend after declaring bankruptcy. I saved that voicemail, not as a memento, as evidence, to remind myself that her version of love was need, not care. Then, 2 months to the day after I left, the universe gave her one last chance to test me. It rained that day, not a gentle drizzle, a cold, relentless autumn rain that soaked everything it touched. I was returning from the gym, duffel bag on my shoulder, umbrella in my hand, when I turned the corner onto my street and saw her, Sienna, huddled under the narrow awning of a closed coffee shop beside my building entrance, her hair plastered to her head, mascara bleeding in dark trails down her cheeks. She looked smaller than I remembered, not because she had shrunk, because her ego had. When our eyes met, hers widened with frantic hope. She stepped out into the rain, hands shaking. "Ryan!" I didn't stop walking, but I slowed, because avoidance only feeds fantasy. I stopped a few feet away, rain drumming on my umbrella. I didn't offer to share it. "How did you find me?" I asked calmly. She shivered violently. "Janelle, she heard from someone who heard from—" She stumbled over the lie. "I had to see you." "You're getting wet," I observed. It wasn't cruel, it was a fact. She let out a broken sob. "You think I care?" she snapped, then immediately collapsed into pleading. "Look at me. Look what happened. I lost everything, Ryan. Everything." I waited. Silence made her talk. "I made a mistake," she said, voice cracking. "A huge mistake. You were right about Troy, about going out, about how I treated you." She stepped closer, reaching a hand out like she could touch her way back into control. I took a subtle half-step back, maintaining space. "Can we just go upstairs?" she begged. "Please, just to talk. I'm so cold. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll quit going out. I'll be the girl you fell in love with again, I swear." Once that sight would have shattered me. Once I would have rushed to save her. But now I saw it clearly. This wasn't change. This was
negotiation. She wasn't offering love. She was offering performance, a role she'd play if it got her back into the life she'd burned down. I looked at her and felt something final. Not hatred, not pity, indifference. "Sienna," I said evenly, "you told me exactly what you wanted. To wear what you want, text who you want, go out with whoever you want." She opened her mouth to interrupt, but I continued. "You gave me a clear instruction. If I didn't like it, to leave." Her eyes widened, desperate. "I didn't mean it like that." "I followed your instructions," I said. "I left. That transaction is complete." "It wasn't a transaction," she cried. "It was a relationship." "No," I corrected softly. "It stopped being a relationship the moment you issued an ultimatum, thinking I would never call your bluff." Her face twisted like she'd been slapped. "You wanted a dynamic where your freedom was absolute and my devotion was unconditional," I said quietly. "That isn't partnership. That's a hostage situation." She shook her head, sobbing. "I chose to release myself," I finished. Tears mixed with rain on her cheeks. She tried one last angle, voice small, childlike. "Ryan, please, I'm sorry." I watched her, and I realized something. The man she was begging for, the man who would have worried about her outfits, her texts, her whereabouts, that man didn't exist anymore. She had killed him, and she had done it with that one sentence: "If you don't like it, leave." "The man you're looking for," I said, voice steady. "The one who waited up, the one who begged, the one who tried to fix things." I paused. "He doesn't live here anymore." I gestured slightly toward the secure door of my building. "My life is peaceful now," I said. "I don't monitor anyone's clothes or messages. I just live." Then I gave her the boundary she deserved. "And you," I said, calm as stone, "are not part of that peace." Her breathing hitched. "Please don't come here again," I added. The finality landed like a locked door. She saw it. Hope guttered out of her eyes. What replaced it was horror. Not because she lost me, because she realized she had created someone who could watch her drowning and feel nothing. I turned and walked the last few steps to my building entrance. I pulled out my key fob. "Sienna," I heard her whisper, raw, stripped of ego. Ryan!
I didn't look back. The fob beeped. The lock clicked. I opened the heavy glass door and stepped into the warm, bright lobby. And right as the door began to swing shut behind me, sealing off the rain, sealing off her, someone called out from the hallway inside. "Hey, Ryan!" It was my neighbor, Nadia. Running gear, flushed cheeks, a real smile. Vibrant, independent, and she had never once treated me like an emotional service provider. "Brutal out there, huh?" Nadia said, shaking water from her hair. A genuine, easy smile touched my lips, my first real smile in months. "Tell me about it," I said warmly. Nadia grinned. "Still on for that hike Saturday if the weather clears?" "Absolutely. Can't wait." The lobby felt clean, quiet, safe. The door clicked shut behind us, muffling the outside world. And that was it. That was the revenge. Not screaming, not revenge cheating, not humiliation posts. Just leaving. The past was on the other side of the glass, blurred and irrelevant, washing away in rainwater. And I walked toward the elevators with my gym bag feeling lighter than it had in years. Because for the first time in a long time, my peace was intact. My future was mine. The most satisfying part wasn't her crying in the rain. It wasn't Troy ghosting her. It wasn't her friends abandoning her. It was that moment she finally understood. Her freedom had a cost, and the cost was me. She didn't lose a boyfriend. She lost the person who made her chaos feel manageable. And when she realized the man she used to control had turned into a man she couldn't even reach, that was the consequence. That was the justice. Sometimes the best revenge isn't punishment. It's absence. It's letting someone live with the exact reality they demanded and realizing they only wanted freedom because they thought you'd still be waiting at home. Boundaries don't need volume. They need follow-through. If this story hit you in the chest, hit like and subscribe because we tell the stories that remind you what self-respect looks like. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done the moment she said, "If you don't like it, leave"? See you in the next one.